I watched a lot of scary movies, monster movies, you name it. I went really deep this year, and I thought I'd make a video of some of the things that I haven't talked about on my channel that aren't in the Criterion Collection, things I don't always cover. But today, I will start with Clown in a Cornfield. I really enjoyed this. Quinn and her father have just moved to the quiet town of Kettle Springs, hoping for a new start, and then they end up with the drama of the clown in the cornfield. The plot isn't too complicated. It's one of those, the town has some evil citizens and it kind of films, but it's hilarious. It is a really funny, good horror comedy. It's probably almost a great horror comedy. The horror elements beyond that are, some of it's kind of generic and the plot's kind of generic, but if you're looking for a good laugh, this really works, and I think the clown designs are amazing. So this will probably be a yearly watch for me. I was really surprised how much I enjoyed it. I do see why some people wouldn't like it, but for me, it had everything I wanted. One film that disappointed me a little bit, and I know this is very popular in sort of the cult cinema circles, I did not really care that much for The Legend of Boggy Creek, A True Story. This is a found footage looking film in this primitive river bottom wilderness in southern Arkansas, along with all kinds of other animals. There's a creature that lurks upright. And, there's lots of different reviews from people on the back here. The Legend of Boggy Creek scared me to death. Dan Myrick from The Legend, or The Blair Witch Project. The problem I had with this film when I watched it was that it simply was a drag for me. It's a lot of scattered footage of the creature, and there's not enough of a narrative or substance to that to where you can really get super involved with the characters. But the aesthetics there, the looks are there. It just doesn't have any reason for the characters to exist, quite frankly, other than to sort of inhabit and embody this world in The Legend of Boggy Creek. I think that there could have been a lot more to this, but I didn't think the screenwriting was there for me. Close, but not quite enough. So I know a lot of people like this film. You'll have to tell me if you disagree with me on that. I would probably give this to somebody and let them have a shot at this, because I love Bigfoot related stuff. But nonetheless, it wasn't a bad movie, just wasn't quite enough for me. I did enjoy, but not as much as I wanted, Longlegs. So this is I got a 4K of this. Gets under your skin and stays there. In pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree. And Nick Cage as Longlegs is quite creepy. He's a really good serial killer in there, in the mold of things like Anthony Hopkins and Silence of the Lambs, or, well, yeah, I guess kind of like that in a sense. The main girl here, Micah Monroe, she's pretty cool. She's interesting to watch and follow along with, and I did think that for the most part it had a creepy, eerie vibe, especially in the 4K. And there's enough there for that. I don't know how rewatchable it is. Like, it kind of does sort of the things you expect throughout, but I enjoyed it enough. So I might keep this and watch it again. You'll have to let me know, you all, what you think about Longlegs. A film that really caught me by surprise, that I enjoyed it quite a bit, probably as much as, this might be my most enjoyed in this stack, actually. I probably enjoyed this as much as anything in the stack. So this is a film people have told me about for years, called Ravenous. And I flipped the slipcover in here. It has Guy Pearce, it has Jeffrey Davies, Jeffrey Jones, David Arquette. Ravenous. It's a recipe for nonstop action and excitement when the inhabitants of an isolated military outpost go up against a marauding band of cannibals in a deadly struggle for survival. And there's a whole lot in here about who's turned when or why, and are they wendigos, are they werewolves, are they vampires, like what exactly is the creature. That's kind of fun to figure out. The soundtrack is bizarre and fun, and the humor, lots of black comedy, likable characters, really, really good setting, really good wintry sort of beauty, reminiscent in some ways of The Shining, which I have up there. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think it's a little all over the place at times and kind of slow moving, but Ravenous is a film I probably would watch a few more times, and I'm glad I have. So if you all like Ravenous, you'll have to let me know. A film ultimately that was a little bit of a miss for me, but I might give it another shot. I don't know. It's close. This is the original Amityville Horror, which I've been wanting to see for many years. And George and Kathy Lutz, they find this Long Island colonial house, and it's obviously too cheap for what they're paying for it. And the house itself is basically just haunted with satanic power and so forth. Rod Steiger, that plot line's not super interesting despite the fact that he's a great actor, because he's this sort of this priest that gets sick and ill related to parts of the house. And the film really goes off the deep end with that with him, and it kind of takes away from the house, which the house is very scary. This is a great haunted house, horror house. And I think the house is good enough and interesting enough and scary enough that that might be enough for some people. And it has a really good movie dog. I like that about it, and I do like the two actors. But it is kind of a slow-moving slog in places, and it's not exactly what I want. I mean, it's really close. Like, this is very borderline for me as to whether or not to watch it again or not. Not the most compelling, but very far from the worst haunted house. So you all have to let me know how you feel about the Amityville Horror. And a movie that so Halloween 3, I finally watched Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. And I love the original Halloween. If you've watched, or if you do watch my John Carpenter video, it's on there, my top 10 John Carpenter. Halloween 2 I like quite a bit as well. And I know that 3, of course, was controversial because it's not Mike Myers. It's like this whole other story. So this is the third installment. A petrified toy salesman is mysteriously attacked and brought to the hospital, babbling and clutching the year's most popular Halloween costume, an eerie pumpkin mask. And this is a real interesting plot in some ways because there is this investigation into the nature of these masks and if they're haunted or if they're like some kind of corporate trap going on. It's very difficult to know exactly what's what with this. And I think this is another film that would have benefited from a lot of editing in the editing room, but the parts of this movie that are scary and creepy work really, really well. There is a scene in front of a television set that is among the ideal, like, great horror moments, and for that reason alone, and just the use of the television and the satire of corporate blah blah blah, that kind of stuff, it's worth seeing. I probably would watch it again, but it's not one of my all-time favorites. I know some people are obsessed with this one, so you'll have to let me know your thoughts on Halloween 3. Good, not quite great for me. And bonus here, Western that I watched recently, The Big Gundown with Lee Van Cleef. Terrific, fun, well, not quite terrific, but pretty fun, enjoyable Western there where he's tracking down someone. You know, it says something that I think I watched this like a week ago and I've already kind of forgotten the plot. What I have not forgotten is that Lee Van Cleef was cool doing Western things and it looked pretty. And like, I don't know, like, I just love Lee Van Cleef, right? Like, he sells anything. Death Rides a Horse, that's a great movie. That's a very underrated movie. But if you have any thoughts on that, I can't even remember the plot now. I was sitting here like, what happened? I guess I forgot it. All right. Well, that having been said, thanks for tuning in. If you could click that thumbs up button and let me know your thoughts, the ones you agree with, the ones you disagree with, the movies maybe you're a little bit higher or lower than I was. And subscribe if you haven't to Cody in the Cinema.